Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 256 begins with Gojo explaining the Black Flash phenomenon. And for a dead guy, this man has been appearing pretty consistently across a good stretch of chapters now. It feels like plenty of things have required this sort of author's message relayed by the characters approach. He clarified that not even the power of the Six Eyes is enough to let him use Black Flash whenever he wants to. According to most sources, Black Flash can be described as a spatial distortion that happens when cursed energy and a physical hit land within 0.00001 seconds of each other. But Gojo wasn't a fan of that half-baked definition, because if it were that straightforward, he'd be able to do it at will. If a person concentrates cursed energy into their punch, that cursed energy has three possibilities. Either it's the type that would empower their fist, the type that would crash into the target, or the type that would do both. The timing wasn't the only factor at play. Depending on the blend, it becomes a toss-up. Controlling the third possibility wasn't even something that anyone outside of himself could do. The blend also changes depending on the environment that's involved, such as the user's physical state or the target's cursed energy. Gojo even theorized that there may be a relevant connection to temperature and humidity, mostly due to Black Flash being a spatial phenomenon. Ultimately, there was no definitive way to consistently use it. When he's actually trying, Gojo adds cursed energy to his attacks, meaning that he depends on luck when it comes to causing Black Flashes. Even Nanami's consecutive Black Flash record was higher than his own. However, Gojo was quick to emphasize the fact that he holds the record for the highest overall Black Flash count. But being as strong as him means that fights don't usually last long enough for consecutive hits. And even this record of his has been claimed by Yuji. In the present, Sukuna stood menacingly before his many opponents. Maki recognized that with the one he hit her with, this was Sukuna's second Black Flash. She wasn't sure who the person he just hit was, but assumed that he was the possible backup that Yuta told them about. Miguel is not the sort of fighter that wants to go the distance. So, seeing as the King of Curses was gaining momentum, he believed it was time to get out of dodge. Yuji feared the possibility of the monster regaining his reverse curse energy output like Gojo had before. He also wondered who the two newcomers were. Joso assumed that since nobody was saying anything, that the two strangers were on their side. He knew that he needed to support them all for the sake of stopping Sukuna before he's able to get his reverse curse technique back. The death painting kicked up a staircase railing as Maki re-engaged the fiend. He tossed it over to Yuji in an instant. Joso then locked in. Yuji slammed Sukuna into place with the railing as Joso prepared a point-blank attack overhead. Joso looked down at his target with complete concentration. A pillar of piercing blood sent him up vertically as Sukuna was swift enough to escape before it could land. But to his left, Maki was making a mad dash through the vacant stores. Maki leapt from beyond the glass and pierced Sukuna into a nearby brick wall. But her eyes went wide soon after. The stone crumbled and the two clashed while moving up through the air. Joso was totally in disbelief and way out of his depth as he realized that they were using the air itself as footing. Sukuna already let us know how much he enjoys fighting Maki, and this massive grin as he prepares his next attack made it clear that this is still the case. As with yet another Black Flash, he sent her into another building. That's his third Black Flash. Sukuna is treating this fight like a rhythm game at this point. Maki was then carved into from all directions. Recognizing the increased pain, Maki deduced that the output of Sukuna's base slashes has gone up as well. Just as Sukuna completed the attack, several globules of blood appeared behind him. Joso used Supernova to cause them to violently explode. In response, more of Sukuna's slashes escaped from the smoke. The king showed up behind him and grabbed Joso's clothes. The blood wielder realized that Sukuna moved faster than his slashes to do this. He was thrown into a wall with shattering force. Joso then had no choice but to protect his head from the impending attack, as yet another Black Flash was delivered. Joso bled from his mouth that was now forming a wicked smile. He simultaneously encased the monster's fist in hardened blood. Sukuna acknowledged that the damage had been reduced by this armor of blood. He was then struck across the face by an unseen assailant. Yuji sent him back and away from Joso. Joso encouraged his brother to continue his assault. Even if Sukuna's power increases thanks to Black Flashes, Yuji's attacks would still reduce his curse energy output and bodily control. Yuji then took something from his brother and accepted his role. Miguel told Laru that they needed to leave, but his friend refused. He believed that there was still more that he could do. From there, yet another enclosure was devastated by this ongoing battle. Sukuna kept smiling as Yuji held onto his head and tried moving it into his knee. He then grabbed hold of Yuji's collar, and from there, as if to mimic his late teacher Gojo, Yuji locked his body around Sukuna's. He then clapped his hands together right in front of Sukuna's disbelieving face. Joso knows that Yuji can't use convergence all too well just yet, and that's why he feels the need to continue watching out for him. Yuji announced his impending piercing blood attack. Sukuna moved his head out of the way just in time, but was grazed by the blast. With that, he was forced to let the brat go. The two fighters separated with a trail of blood between them. But Yuji reeled back with one hell of a crazed look on his face. In response to this, Sukuna felt the same sensation that Mahito did against Yuji in Shibuya, the premonition of an oncoming Black Flash. But just then, Sukuna's attention shifted, and his pupils turned into hearts. Against his will, Sukuna's full attention moved towards Laru. With an outstretched hand, Laru revealed that his heart clutch can do more than just hold bodies. Once he's grabbed the target, he can also grab his heart. Now notice that in the Viz translation, it says his heart. And on that note, the Viz translations for the first 2 pages of this chapter are pretty off. Anyways, Laru has Sukuna swinging for the other team, while Yuji swung his empowered fist. A rupturing Black Flash was delivered onto the King of Curses. With these black sparks, Yuji's true potential has been officially released. Yuji has awakened. Sukuna really does not like Yuji, and it's at moments like these where Yuji looks at the guy like this that you know the feeling is very mutual. And I am very happy to see Yuji gain a bit of momentum in this fight against Sukuna. Of course, the main character needs to shine, but man, when you consider the fact that this guy hasn't even been in the Jujutsu world for more than a year, you see how much of an absolute legend this kid is. For him to be boxing against a Heian era monster like Sukuna is insane. And how crazy would it be if these two get into a consecutive Black Flash brawl against each other, going blow for blow? The choreography of these chapters has been absolutely incredible, so I really hope so. Also, maybe it's just me, but Hikari seems to be taking his sweet time fighting against Uraume. And although I don't think it's the case, I couldn't blame him if he was stalling to avoid having to fight Sukuna. Let me know what you guys think is going on, and how you feel about all these Black Flashes in the comments. As always, I'm Sliceable Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.